So what can I say about today's guest that's not already been said? See, I'm talking about my exceptional, remarkable, and outstanding friend Scotty Rorek, who Jen and I love so very much. We have such an amazing connection. So here we go. I'm probably going to forget something, but hey, let's try it. He's a psychic medium, paranormal investigator, an actor, having appeared in many films, including some of my favorites by the Ghostbusters Jim O'Rear and Scott Tepperman. He's a dad of two wonderfully grown men, Alex and Christian. He's married to a very beautiful woman, Terry Weiss Rorek, since May of 1990. Let's not forget he's a minister and host of the very infamous Paranormal Match Game. Okay, if you've been to any Paracon with them, you know about the Paranormal Match Game, whose winner receives a box of rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat. Now, the Roreks live in Wisconsin. He and his wife, Terry, co-founded Psychics Unite. Now, this is an awesome organization, one Jen and I was very helpful with at one time. We did it not only for the Roreks, but for its overall purpose, to help those psychic mediums who need a safe place to talk, regardless of race, regardless of color, regardless of sexual orientation. It's an amazing organization. Now, I met Scotty way back at many Paragons. I sort of remember him at a Scarefest many, many moons ago. We once paid him to do a reading for Jen and I, which was so on the mark. Now, there's something that attracted us to him. I believe it's his aura and persona. Anyone who knows Scotty knows what an amazing person he is. The way he treats his family, the way he treats his friends, he fits right in with all of us. I have to admit that it's been a while since we got together, and we need to correct that. See, we always try to meet for dinner when he's in the area. Sometimes we even get to spend quality weekends with him at Paracons now as a fellow vendor. Oh, you see, I told you I'd forget something. This man is completely gone when it comes to Ghostbusters. Well, we'll talk more about that during the show. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our show this evening. And as I said, we have the great Scotty Rorek with us here. Scotty, thanks for joining us here on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. As you can see, I'm live in my car, the Ectomobile. You can see the top up there. You know, we're searching for ghosts here yet. So, but no, hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. I had to park by a street light so you could see me. There's sirens in the background, people walking around, all waving at my car, watching me live on the show here. So it's going to be a fun night.
Well, I expect it to be. Scotty's a psychic medium whose mission is to bring spiritual understanding to people who are searching for answers. He works towards that mission through education, mediumship, and mentoring. Now, I wasn't reading your website. Scotty is a medium. He's a clairvoyant, a clairaudient. He works with spirit guides, healing, and even an empath, a teacher, a mentor, an actor, husband, father, podcaster, speaker, and lecturer. Did I leave something out? Probably not, but we'll get into it anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, I got to start the show really hard. Time for this to finally happen. It's probably a first for your podcast, but we're friends, so I'm going to ask publicly, and I want straight and truthful, honest answer.
All right, ready to go.
How the hell did you get so attached to Ghostbusters? I mean, this man has memorabilia at home. If he stood up right now, I guarantee you he's wearing a Ghostbusters shirt, jacket, pants. Yeah, you see? Right? And probably underwear, but we're going to let that go now.
I do have that on. You guys want to see it?
You see that?
I'm more than happy to drop trow here in the parking lot.
Yeah, okay. Then we'll see the real red lights go.
Yeah, the real sirens.
Yes.
But it's funny when you're saying that there's a guy taking selfies with himself with me in the background being on the air. So this is kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really interesting if you drop trowel.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I also have my Ghostbusters socks on right now, my underwear, my T-shirt. I don't have my coat on. I got my cool jean jacket because it's kind of cold today. But how I got into it, all right. Let me kind of go into it. So back in I was born in the 60s. I'm an old guy. So I was born in the 60s. I saw a spirit when I was a young kid. I saw spirit all. Thank you. See, it's gonna be fun.
Heckless.
So, um, so I saw spirit all my life, and it wasn't okay. So then I stopped in mid to late '70s because I just was being mercifully made fun of, and as a kid, that's hard to take, you know.
Well, it was
So
only one spirit you saw, or I mean, what did you see?
I see everything like I do today. I mean, and I never knew what it was. You know, I thought everybody could do it. I thought everybody could see spirit and or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. Well, we'll get into that a little later on it. But most of the time, I would go to school and I would tell people, "Hey, I saw this. I saw your grandfather last night." He goes, "But my grandpa's dead. And why are you telling me about my grandpa?" I said, "Well, we talked." So I lived in Franksville, Wisconsin. We had a ranch and my bedroom was in the back. If I left my door open at night, spirits would come in and they would sit down with me in the bottom of, or sit down on my bed and we would talk. Um, and later I shut my door and I didn't get spirits that night. So we'll talk about that a little bit here too. But what happens then with that is, so for a long time it just was being ridiculous. People were making fun of me. It was not what it's supposed to be. But then all of a sudden came the '80s. I went to the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh, and one day, bright sunny day, I went up to the prop room because I was in theater, and I went up to the prop room and I walked in there, and then there was a lady standing in the prop room right in front of me with no legs, no feet, just kind of floating right there. And I ran out of the room. I screamed and yelled, and I ran out. Everybody like goes, "What do you see? You know, what's wrong? What's happening?" And I said, "Well, I saw a ghost." And I said, "Oh," and then all of a sudden I realized, "You dumbass, you just came out again to everybody." And I was like, "Oh." But this time it was the '80s now, and it was a lot better because I got a ton of dates. There were so many ladies that wanted to know and wanted to understand and talk to ghosts, and that I had dates like almost every night of the week. It was great. I was so happy to finally see ghosts. But then Ghostbusters came out, and then all my friends saw the scene in the library, and they said, "Was that the same?" I said, "No." I said there was a lady standing there that you couldn't see her feet, but she didn't like become this demon thing. Go, and then I ran. I just it was a grandmother, and I ran because I saw a grandmother standing there. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but it happened. So that's where. But when Ghostbusters came out in the '80s, it was the first time that people started taking me seriously. They actually came to me and they understood, because here's four guys seeing ghosts, dealing with ghosts, working with ghosts, trying to bust ghosts. They were funny. It was all of a sudden they could realize and talk to me legitimately about me seeing ghosts. So that's where it came from. So even to today, Ghostbusters, and if you can see, bring my car around, my ectomobile. I'm in it right now. See, there's the top. There I am. See, I told you I'm in the car. And so even with the ectomobile and stuff, it's all been Ghostbusters have been the thing that's made me feel normal. So I kind of use them as not as my way to be normal. You know what I mean? And so I come out now in the Ghostbuster car. Everyone in this parking lot's yelling, "Hey, yay, yay!" You know. Once again, it's everybody here loves Ghostbusters, and if we can make people understand ghosts and spirits better because of Ghostbusters, then that's what we're doing. And that's how the car came around. The Ectomobile, I was building it during the pandemic. I said, why don't I finally come out totally as a Ghostbuster or as a psychic medium, and let's build a car. And we did. And as of tomorrow, or no, not tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday, Saturday, Ecto is getting new lights. So up there on the top, you see the tower and the other beam, and there's the regular lights. But we're adding, and then underneath the rear wells, we're going to add lights. We're going to add lights all over the car. Finally, going to get the full light package.
Cool. Gotta light it up. You see now
But
I
yeah,
can vouch for everybody wanting to see the car in the parking lot because the photo we showed during that film when the four of us were having dinner. I can remember just looking out the window in that parking lot and how many people were stopping to take pictures. And I
Right.
can still remember that little boy. Do you remember that? You went out and lit up the lights for him?
Yep.
And that kid was just like, his face was like,
So here's a cool story that just happened. A couple of them is I have a job at the Henry Vilas Zoo in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm their retail operations manager. So I sell stuff so we can feed the animals. But they're going to be using me and the car because I drive it to the zoo every day. And there's so many people that take pictures at the zoo. The curator of the zoo said, "Hey, why don't we get you your own enclosure? So because more people take pictures of your car than the animals." So I thought that was kind of funny. So on the 29th, this Halloween, we're going to be doing trick or treat at the zoo, and the ectomobile gets to be in the center of the zoo for trick or treat. So I thought that's kind of cool.
that
But
is
the
pretty cool.
but the best thing, very similar to that guy. And unfortunately, that was the last time we saw each other was at that dinner.
No, I didn't we see each other
Where was
at
it at?
Fort Wayne? Well, we did, it was a Paracon we did
Oh,
in Fort
Fort
Wayne.
Wayne. Yep. Yeah, we saw it at Fort Wayne. Yep. Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
And
because I
that
was
was back
having
in,
health problems then. Yeah, that was the last
yeah,
time
we
we
were
saw
all
Wayne.
dealing with health problems. Mine was
Yeah.
starting at that
Yeah.
point there too.
Yours
So,
was. Yes, it was. And
mhm,
you had no clue what it was yet.
right,
So,
exactly. They were after my heart for sure.
yeah.
Wrong
I,
way.
I, I couldn't move. And it was just, that was a bad time. Thanks to Jen, your wife, for actually dressed me and did my hair. And I
Well,
couldn't do
I'm
it.
getting a
I
lot of
just couldn't.
hellos from
Yeah,
Greg and
I'm able
Elvin.
to get my pants on, so don't worry about it. And my
Thank
Ghostbuster underwear.
Well,
But
if I
the
remember correctly, didn't what was her name? The famous rock roll star from the
oh yeah, Lita Ford.
thank you. She loved that car. I mean, I think Jen had to take glamour shots or something for her.
She did. It took a lot. And like I said, just like when you have a very famous person touch you, Ecto hasn't been washed since. Especially the
Well,
inside, in the inside where she was doing all her moves on the car. So that was kind
that's
of
right.
fun. But the
Well,
coolest thing that happened was I just had an article done in the local newspaper here in Madison called the Isthmus, and they did an article on me in the car, and it was really cool. So I get this text or a phone call from somebody that saw the article and called me and says, "I'm a caregiver of this gentleman he's 39 years old. He doesn't have any memory really because he was in an accident and his brain was gone, and so not a lot of short-term memory, not a lot of long-term memory, just really having a hard time." But he says, "I just want to let you know, there's one thing in the world this guy knows is Ghostbusters. We have to watch it all the time. He knows all the lines from the movies. For somebody that doesn't have a memory that can spout out every line, it was incredible." But he said to me, he goes, "Would you come over and meet us and let him be a Ghostbuster for a day?" So, like drive him around in your car, take pictures and stuff. We spent over 3 hours together and it was amazing. It was the most incredible time. Had me crying. Here's this gentleman that can't remember anything, but's loving. And then he goes to me after the day. He goes, "I had the best day ever. You made my life." I was like, "Oh my God," I started crying. It was so spectacular. But he was doing the sirens. He was playing the sirens. He was waving at people out of the window. It was so incredible. It really was. It was amazing. And I said to him, I said, "This is cool." I said, "Anytime you want to go, you can go with me." So that was so cool.
you actually probably made that guy's life lately, because I'm sure
Yeah,
he's been going through a lot. And for something like that, I mean, I know I'm drawn to Ghostbusters. Now, I'm going to hit you on the spot on this one.
go
Okay,
for it.
which Ghostbusters movie do you like the best? Do you like the first one, the second one, or the one with the ladies?
Okay, here you go. So here's my order. So one, four, ladies, two.
Okay, so did I miss one?
One's the
What was the
original.
second Ghostbusters then?
Yeah, that's the original. That's still my favorite. I
Mhm.
loved I loved Afterlife 4. It was amazing. Oh, such a tribute. I love the ladies. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of people yelling at me. You can text me all you want because I'm still going to support it because the ladies wasn't in the Ghostbusters. What do you call that?
Franchise.
Timeline,
Yeah.
timeline,
Okay.
whatever they are. They they made fun of it and they had a good time doing it and they made fun of a lot of the Ghostbuster stuff. But the cool thing about it was Kate McKenna and they talked about all the gear, which in any other Ghostbusters you don't know what the gear does. They just call it something and then they shoot it. You know, even in the elevator, unlicensed nuclear accelerator. Okay, what does that mean? In the women's one, they showed you what it did. They showed you how it works. They got into the details a lot more, but they got in a lot of jokes. They were making fun of the originals. Everything was cool. So I really liked the ladies version a lot. I know Terry, my wife, she loved that one too. I mean, it was really cool. That's why I would put it. I didn't like two. I didn't like my big problem was when they started making the Statue of Liberty walk down um, anywhere. That
Yeah.
was just like, okay, I can suspend my animation and belief to a degree in almost any movie, but there it just stopped. I was like, oh my god. So two was tough.
Now I know I watched Afterlife just for this show. Okay, I've been wanting to, but just for this show over the weekend, I looked for it, found it on my Fire TV, and
Yep.
watched it, and I was super impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
I really was, especially when they came on at the end there and joined them. I don't want to go into movie people, but when they showed up, it was like, okay, this
My
is like,
my favorite line, and I live my life by this line. If someone asks if you're a god, you say yes. I always do that. So like when I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and they go, "Do you want your senior discount?" I go, "Yes." No matter what anyone says, if they say it, I say, "Is this your $5?" Yes. So I would never say no. I always say yes.
you see,
But
you're at the age now where you're just getting the legitimate senior discount.
yeah, I can
Okay.
get the first level discount, but I can't get the big ones. But now
Mhm.
with my gray hair and my big ponytail, I get it now. So all over. So
I'll,
and I say yes. So
I'll still never forget we went to a Dairy Queen. I was only 55, and the kid behind the register said, "Do you want the senior discount?" And I looked at him and said, "You know," and it's a little window too. I was like, I can reach my arm in there and pull you out this freaking window by your neck, okay? I was like, how old do you think I am? And he goes, and that discount's like 60 something. And it's like,
right.
no, I don't. Now I asked, don't forget the senior discount
Yes, exactly.
because I turned 64 this month. So I actually earned it. Okay,
I
I
know
want
that's so cool. It's always like, but I always say yes to everything. But in Afterlife, the best part of it was when when she goes, eh, the when Gozer goes, "Are you a god?" And they all and he didn't answer, and all the other guys go, "Really, Ray? Really? Like, come on, dude. You didn't learn from last time? Come on."
yeah, it was actually I quite enjoyable. I laughed, I cried, everything. It was a good movie. It
Yes,
was
it
good
was.
to come back. I want to go to while we're in fun mode. I want to go to the paranormal match game, as I
Hmm.
alluded to when we went through the beginning here. Now, as I said, I remember meeting you at Scarefest one year. We were walking through. I remember where your booth was, towards the front, towards the right hand side there,
Yep.
and we talked briefly. You were doing a lot of readings the first two times we passed, and then I have to say the next time I remember seeing you was at Keats Age, uh, Mid South,
Right.
and that's where the first paranormal match game took place.
The
And we,
live one. The live one. Okay.
right,
The ones
yeah,
at Paracon.
right. You
Because I
actually
was
were
doing
doing that Facebook Live, if I remember too.
and we actually had a radio station back in the old days, and I used to have a radio show called Spooks Are Us,
Hmm.
and we did Paranormal Match Game on that back. I think it was like 2010. So we did it for many years on the radio with Paranormal Match Game. So like Tepperman was on it, Paul Bradford was on it, Also, do you know that Paul Bradford was on my radio show as one of my segment producers? He
Oh,
used to
no.
come in and do tech stuff for us. That's how Paul and I met. So
Didn't he help you build that? Do have a lot to do with Ecto and stuff?
not the Ecto, but he built me one of the proton packs.
The proton packs, right?
Yep.
Okay, I knew he had something to do with
Yeah.
one of. I remember what Wayne you told us. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And now he has his own Ecto. So
Yeah. There
and
you go.
we have photos out. We went to Mattoon, Illinois for an event, and Paul was there with me. Oh, I think it was Ashmore, so it was Tim Miley's event at Ashmore, Autographs for Pooches. And we were there, and Paul brought his Ecto, and we did ours. And they had a car show night, and we both went down there and went up and down the strip
I
with the
remember you
same
were driving
sirens
up.
running.
Yep. Well, for those that are wondering who Tim Malley is, Tim will be joining us next week. He's next
Oh,
week's
that's
guest. Yeah. It was supposed to be Keith, but Tim screwed something up with his booking, so Sir Keith was very happy, more than happy to switch it around and stuff. So,
okay.
um,
Yeah, you'll love Tim. He's great. I mean, we were talking before the show about what paranormal groups I'm in. I freelance. I freelance a lot. I helped Tim out. We had a really cool investigation a few weeks ago with Tim in just outside of La Crosse, Wisconsin. So I do that. I do with Brew City Paranormal out of Milwaukee, and then I also do Shadow Hunters out of the Lake Villa, that type of area in Illinois. So those are the three that are in the area that I work with almost regularly. So
see, Tim is really, he gets fully engrossed in an investigation. And I don't mean that by any bad ways whatsoever.
no,
But he really, I've seen the stuff that he does and how he does it. I mean, complete, genuine caring for the people that are involved in it.
yeah, yeah. He's an amazing man, and we've been working for quite a while together, and it's been great. So I know we did our first investigation ever was one that was, I think, our biggest investigation. I think one of my biggest investigations ever was with him. We helped this little boy who was a foster kid that was murdered by his foster dad and abused, and was still in the house where it was all happening. And that night we ended up helping to cross him over, and it was an amazing night. But I remember meeting at Tim's house because when I go to investigations, I don't know where I'm going. Most of the time I'll meet Tim somewhere and then they'll drive me there. Or like I call her my helper or my, she calls herself my wrangler because she has to wrangle me, get me in the right place at the right time. But Gail was there. This time Gail drove me so I wouldn't know where the investigation was outside La Crosse. I didn't even know where we were going. I was like, I don't know. But it's so much better that way because then there's no way for me to Google or do anything. So as soon as I get onto site, there we go. We did that with Keith Age. You talked about Keith here. We did that with them and the Booth brothers for Children of the Grave 2 for that movie. They just told me to be in Ohio on Tuesday. I think that's going to be the name of my book, Be in Ohio on Tuesday. I said, Ohio, where in Ohio? They said, be in Ohio on Tuesday. I said, okay. And then Tuesday morning came and they said, here are your coordinates. Go to this place. So I went to this place. It was a restaurant. So I sat there and had coffee and just waited for them for like 2 hours. Then they called me. They go, okay, come over. And so I drove over and there was the building there where Children of the Grave 2 starts. And so what they did was put a microphone on me and put a camera in my face. Philip puts the camera in my face and they said, tell me about that building. And away we went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're two very amazing movies that they made, both of them. And
Yeah.
Keith is really great in both of them as well. So
Yeah. So
and
we saw some
people
stuff.
learn if they hear about Keith Age and they see the show coming up, you will learn so much about Keith Age because I have in the last couple of weeks. But for everything from Blue Oyster Cult forward, I mean,
So Keith is coming on your show.
yes,
Okay,
and
you
not
have
next
to
week, but the week
you
after.
you have to ask him this question, and do not prep him with this, okay?
Okay.
And unless he's watching tonight, he won't know this is coming. Ask him about you heard. This is how you go. So Keith, I heard that you shot a psychic.
Okay.
Just ask him that. There's a
Okay.
whole story about it, and I've been perpetrating this for the longest time. But he shot. He'll say he shot up in the air, but which he did.
As long as he doesn't answer the way he answered me at the table.
Oh, he might do that.
Out.
So you got to be wary, but he
Yes, I
might do
know.
that.
Well,
He's so funny. Ask him that question though, and
I
he'll go.
definitely will.
He'll know right where it came from.
Oh, he will. But the same way when we sent the message, he knew exactly where it came from. He
Yes,
said, "Where's
exactly.
Scotty?" Okay, you're talking to Scotty. I was on the phone there. So when did you actually start doing readings for people? I mean, it's one thing, doing for friends and stuff, but when did you decide professionally to take that bigger step forward?
So in I ended up doing another radio show called The Buzz, and on The Buzz we had, very similar to this, but we didn't have video back then. So otherwise we would have been on video. But we had we ended up getting the my co-host at the time. She ended up knowing Derek Acora. Derek Acora is the psychic medium from Most Haunted. It was like one of the first shows on the radio. I mean, on TV, on big TV from England. They would run around and scream all the time. But anyway, Derek was on there as a medium, and I kind of fibbed on our show. I said to him, I said, Derek, I said, this is the time of the show when any psychic medium comes on, has to give the host a reading. And so he goes to me, he goes, all right, Scotty, I'll do it. He goes, all right, Scotty. He had a great accent. I loved it.
I've
But he
seen
said
the
to me, he
show
goes,
out
yeah,
there.
he goes, I'll do a reading for you. So he did. He told me about my spirit guides. He told me about me doing readings. He told me I'd be on television. He told me I'd be more radio. I'd be in films. That my spirit guide and me would be stronger than him and his spirit guide Sam. And he went through this whole thing, and he says, you're a medium like me. I said, yeah, I've seen things you do, and I get the same things. He goes, but I said, I don't even know what the word medium means. And he goes, just somebody who talks to the dead. I said, okay. But it wasn't until those shows before I even know what medium was. I always thought a medium was the guy from Wizard of Oz that had the horse with the crystal ball. And then that's what I always thought a medium was. So it wasn't until Derek finally told me, kind of put me on a trail, that I put my shingle out as a medium. I lost my co-host on the radio show, a lot of stuff because of it. It was really tough. But
Why was that? Because you were saying you were a medium?
yep.
Wow.
And so it was tough. We had a hard time, and it was, once again, you go through these all in your life, all this crap from other people, and you just have to be strong through it. I mean, we could talk about that later. But so Derek told me that, and I put out the reading. So it wasn't until all those TV shows when they first came out that I started thinking that I can actually do this. So that was what, 2010, 2011, I think was the first time I did a reading. And it was funny because when I did my first reading, and it's funny, I'm really good friends with the people I'm still with my first reading. They still come back to me after all these years. I see them all the time. It's so great. So Jackie was one of my first readings. I came to her and her previous husband, and I went down in the basement. I started doing the reading, and I was giving them all this stuff. Like I get this gentleman here who kind of died from in here, and it went down to here. It was like cancer, and he like smoked a lot. And I looked at Jackie and I said, "Excuse me one second." I said, "Dad, step away." It was my dad. He was there to protect me, but he was too close. So I was reading him instead of Jackie's spirits. So it was funny. But yeah, that was about 10 or 11. It was the first time I did real readings. And I've been doing them ever since. So was that 10 years, 19 years, 20
Yeah,
years?
20 years.
Yeah.
It's strange because we don't realize how old we are.
Yeah, I know. I always
I
say,
listen to music from the 80s, and sometimes she'll say, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm
right,
like, "What?" She goes, "That's 40 years ago." And it's like,
it is.
It's like, boy, you want to wake you up real quick, okay? The
And
80s.
I'm very much like Joe Biden. I forget stuff now that I'm old. So I always go. So if you hear me even on the show here, if you hear me ever going, come on, man, you know I don't know where I am. I'm lost.
Yeah,
Scotty's
well,
gone. Scotty's gone bye bye.
a good friend of mine, Kim Baker, who used to do the show, used to have the little clip of that, the audio clip, that he would be able to hit a button. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
I
That was
haven't figured out with this program I'm using how to do any of that yet. I'm learning as we go. I've got the screens figured out pretty well, and but
you can take my clip. Come on,
yeah.
man.
Well, no, but it's got to be an audio for that. Some way I can put audio that would just play audio on this. Okay, I'm going to switch gears to something
All
really,
right.
really serious. Okay, and not Grey Goose telling me I look great even with the beard. But YouTube, he said to say hello to you, but to look great even with the
Okay,
beard.
Greg.
But the question comes, Psychics Unite.
Yep.
Explain to our listeners what Psychic Unite is, how it came about, what the group does, etc.
Yeah, Psychics Unite is the creation of my wife, Terry. She she's all the people that have always been looking for things. But she had an experience with a lady in Chicago where she was at a job interview, and this lady just she she starts it in. My wife turns a, she always calls it turns a key and tries to unlock it so she doesn't go too far with it. She goes, she saw this lady that had all these pictures of animals on her desk, and she goes, "Oh, animals really can sense your energy, can't they?" And she goes, "Yes." And then she started telling her about how they went to the aquarium and all the animals swim by her. And then Terry always goes, "Here's the key." She goes, "Okay, so what other things do you experience?" And then she went into it, and then she found that here's this lady that doesn't have anybody to talk to their about their gifts to, and she knows what I went through back in the '60s and how I didn't have anybody I could talk to. Even back then, we didn't even have the internet or video or anything. It was tough. So she created this group, Psychics Unite, for us, for people like me, like anyone, like you, like all of us to go to, almost like we like to call ourselves AARP for psychics. It's kind of like this group because one psychic's voice isn't strong enough, but a whole group would be astronomically big. You know what I mean?
What I liked
So
about it
yeah,
was a place where, like you said, you've gone through a lot at the beginning where people just, ridiculing you and stuff for it. And a lot of people today, it's worse. Come on, this woke generation is 10 times worse. So there is a cool place where they can feel safe and be and learn about, explore themselves.
yep. When we had a group with one of your dear friends and one of mine too, Tina Marie, when we had our first meeting with her, we had two ladies in their 70s who have never been able to tell anyone about their gifts, and they ended up just crying profusely because it was such a relief, such a weight off their shoulders that finally I got somebody to talk to about what I've been dealing with my whole life. And that's sad that somebody has to go that long before they could talk to somebody. So that's why we created Psychics Unite, to try to have a place where you can come, you can enjoy yourself, you can talk about things, you can learn about things, and we opened it up to anyone, that you don't even have to have gifts. You could be, you could just be interested in it, and you could still come. We even had, well, we have skeptics come into our meetings, and that's totally fine too. We're here for everybody, for us to talk. It's a place of respect. It's a place of honor. It's a place where we could talk like adults and we don't call each other names, that type of stuff. It's an amazing place to feel that you're loved and you have a belonging, and that's the best thing about it.
Now, you still do Zoom meetings
We
or
do
they're
every Monday night yet, and
okay?
as you were talking about, Greg is in the meetings every Monday night.
Hmm.
We do local meetings, especially here in Madison. We're looking at opening one in just north of Milwaukee. So the groups are all over the place. Come see us. Come join us. Shadow Hunter still runs theirs in Illinois. So we try to be around for everybody. Someday we would hopefully be in. We could be international, national at least. We want to be in like every major city. So because there are people with abilities everywhere. So let's try to get to everybody and try to get them to feel normal, so we can stop this. So we can stop this. Everyone feeling bad and worried about themselves, and where they can actually just rejoice and be themselves.
It's funny going to Paracons, even the one we were talking about, non-con, where Jen was there, but there were at least one, two, three other psychics that were in, not that room, but spread out, in the other room. And I heard somebody say, which is four actually. I'm sorry, I forget. Besides Jen, there were four other ones. I just thought about Doug was there too. And somebody was saying something about, yeah, but they're not good. And it's like, you need to stop that, okay? Because it's not that they're not good, it's how they're connecting, okay?
Right.
The different
Right.
vibrations of connecting. I always talk about Jen and I go to see John Edward, okay? His crossing over stuff. He could be sitting right in front of me, okay, standing right there, and he looks over me because he's just not on that vibration. And I've
Right.
met John. We've talked to John. We have a lot in common. Both grew up in New York. Both had fathers who were cops and stuff. So it's not like he doesn't see me there. It just doesn't connect there, okay, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I think what starts to happen if after a while that psychic medium hears people say, "Oh, she's not that good," or "They're not that good." They're not going to keep working on their abilities,
Right.
and this is the perfect place for them to turn to.
But everybody does it different too, because you talked about at the beginning of the show about me teaching. I don't want my students to be like me,
Mhm.
not even one little bit. I want them to be like them,
Right.
because everybody's gifts are different. I know your wife Jen took classes with me, and I always wanted Jen to be Jen. And I made sure that she read the way she did. And now look how amazing she is,
Mhm.
because she tapped in her own energy. That's the key to this whole thing. Is we tap into our own. Hang on, phone went.
Whoops! There he
Phone.
goes. There
There's
goes
a.
that phone. Okay, while you're picking up your phone, I'm going to answer a question on YouTube here. Psychics Unite is on Facebook as well, but they're also, if you go to psychicsunite.com, you'll see them there, and you'll read all the information about them, when the meetings are, because I know people that are asking this question, and you can actually do it by Zoom sessions. Just
Right.
go into the Zoom room and you can listen to it. And I was good, perfect amount of timing while you picked up the phone. That was there. Just
I
how about
told you I'm in my car in a parking lot with a street light, so you could see me. We're doing some ghost stuff tonight. But
well,
anyway,
I don't know if you noticed at one point one of my lights went out,
I did see
and I had to
that.
put myself down and had to get the light back on. I just don't know. Listen, was it last week or the week before? I think it was, and we were talking about the Mothman.
Okay.
And Travis tells me every time he does shows with the Mothman, something happens. So here we are talking, and all of a sudden I'm talking. I'm not looking at the screen, which is why I'm not looking up there, folks. I am watching all of you, but I'm actually watching my screen to make sure we're okay. And all of a sudden, my video leak froze. And I'm talking, thinking I'm talking. And next thing in my ear, I hear Travis say, "Steve, your picture is frozen." And I'm like, "Oh, crap. Now what?" So there's a private chat in this. I'm thinking, okay, he's a radio guy. I mean, he ran radio stations. You talk about a voice for radio, this is the man for that. So I typed in, I was like, "Just keep talking like I was there." I actually had to reboot my entire system and come back in to get back into the show again. It was like, okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I do worry. It's not that I'm out looking up there. I'm more watching the screen and make sure. Plus, I look to this side, because I have to screen up with YouTube there, so I
Right.
can see if somebody asks a question. Um, so anyway, we were talking about psychics tonight.
Yeah.
Time, yeah.
But
So I mean,
it's a great organization. But I mean, the biggest thing is we're just there to help. We're not there to judge. We're not there to be the police. We're not there to do. There are people out there that are fraudulent. We've all met them, and those people, we try to warn because we don't want to come right out. But but the majority of the people. Here's the thing: everyone that's watching the show tonight has psychic abilities.
right.
Everybody, every single one of you. The level of it, until I meet you, I can't tell you. But everybody has it, and it depends on if you accept it, if you embrace it, you practice it, and you go from there. Um, Jen is a prime example. Her gifts were always there. She just needed to practice,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's freaking amazing.
Is
And
she?
and
Well, but you're just there. You're there too. Okay. Now I'm not saying this because you're a guest on the show right now, because I would just shut up. But I mean,
true.
we've done readings, okay, with
Yep.
you, and I even remember when her brother died, and we were all talking about something else was going on, and I sent you a PM on Facebook, and I said, just want to let you know Jen's brother died, and I remember your first words to me was, yeah, he's a little confused as to why he's up there. Okay, and it's true because he just died suddenly of a heart attack, just keeled over and died. No one expected him to pass or anything like that, and it
Right.
was confusing to all of us. And yet you put right in, yeah, it was confusing to him too when he got there. It's like, huh? Wait a minute, what happened?
Right.
So I know your abilities. You connected well with. I don't want to say who, not the psychics, but who you connected with. Okay, but everyone I do trust and talk to all connects with that same spirit guide.
Right.
It's like a pattern that runs, and it's kind of interesting. So I know, I remember the reading you did for Jen that time when we were sitting on that couch.
Sure.
It was a Mid South, remember? And we were
Yep.
sitting in the lobby, sitting there, and I mean, we think we're early in the morning because you said you woke up to her grandmother, okay, bothering you, keeping you up half the
You're
night.
welcome.
Yeah. So, I
Sorry,
mean,
more people.
yeah, I'm sure. See that, or you're talking to other people. You
I
can
do that
really
too.
mess around with people. You're welcome. People in the car won't have the street won't have any idea. So,
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you're right. Everybody can work on it, and you want them to be themselves as well.
Right. My analogy is always the fact that everybody on the face of the earth has played baseball in some form. Some people play kickball, stickball. Some people play bar league. Some people play softball. But everybody's played baseball. Not everybody's in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So you're somewhere between the Hall of Fame and kickball, but you all have it. It's all there. It's all the same. It's exactly the same game. You all have the things. I mean, people tell you, you get the feeling, oh, don't do that, and you don't, and everything's fine. Or you get this thought like, oh, I shouldn't do that, and you do it anyway, and it turns out for crap. See, you didn't listen. So it's always there for us. That's the cool thing. And the more that you listen, the better it's going to be.
See, and
And
that's what I
they're
hope.
coming up to watch what I'm on.
I was just going to say, I mean, intuition is great. I like you said, we all have intuition.
Yep.
And that's what Psychics Unite's about. People can go and folks. The reason I'm telling you this is because Jen and I used to be intricately involved with
Yep.
Psychics Unite, and I would sit through some of those meetings. And yes, I mean, people. That's the place to come if they have questions. Hey, how come I'm seeing this, or what's happening? During this time, and there's people there to explain it to them.
Right.
And that's phenomenal because there really is no place for that. There's some psychics that say you either have it or you don't. And then
Right, right, and here's the cool thing about Psychics Unite. It's free.
yeah,
I'm not. This ain't Terry trying to make you take classes. This ain't Scotty trying to make you take classes. This is Scotty telling you come join our family, and feel comfortable. That's what it's about. If you
and
want to take
everybody
classes
gets to
and
know
do it
each
other,
other after a while.
that's not even right. That's not even in the ballpark. I mean, yeah, of course, I do teach classes and stuff, but hopefully it's because you find out who I am and you like my style, and we want to work together
You
that
want to
way.
learn more.
It's not because of Psychics Unite. I don't want that. And I don't do readings at Psychics Unite meetings either.
No,
That's not what it's about. It's about me being here to help you feel comfortable with what you have
there's
for
some great
free.
people. I mean,
Free.
free, no
Because
cost.
too many,
Sounds
Steve,
better than
that.
free.
Yeah, Steve. Though too many people, and we've met them before. You got to take a class for $500.
hmm
What? What? No, thanks.
Heck, I've heard paranormal investigator teams trying to make you pay $500
Right.
to learn how to investigate. You know,
No, thanks.
yeah. I mean, really, and that's why we get that.
You can come
Or
to Psychics Unite for that. We'll
yeah,
teach you.
or they charge to investigate. I mean,
Right.
how many times you do private homes? How many
Yep.
times those calls are like, well, how much do you charge to come here?
Nothing.
It's like if there's a group that's charging you, hang up.
Right.
That's what I always
But
tell people.
but if you think you're going to get a private reading, I'm there.
Yeah,
That's not
well,
happening either.
yes, as we've learned pretty well too. So now, I mean, you're a minister, and it's
Yeah.
funny because right there, so what?
Yeah.
Right where my finger's pointing, that thing on the back wall there, okay, is my ministry thing. And I
Hmm.
mean, you've done some great weddings and stuff. But I don't know where my cat is here because I usually have I call her my podcat. Okay, she usually comes sitting back there someplace. But you're a movie star, darling. I mean, come on, you've done roles in. You even talked about Children of the Grave, Part Two, where they stuck Nightblade, and even
Yep.
the cameo of Nightblade in Hell's Bells, for that matter.
Right.
Which you need to update your IMDb page because they don't have the Hell's Bells on there.
I know. I'm kind of mad about it. I told Temperman a couple of times, and he was like,
So, tell us a little about the acting. I know you got a wild crew probably to your left.
Yeah, they are. So they're like,
Yeah.
um, acting. I actually that's what I went to school for. I went to college for. I have a degree in theater and I have a degree in radio, TV, film. So that's kind of where I both am.
What do they want to
So
see the car, or what is the people to your left? What do they
they're,
keep saying, or they're just
no, they're just looking at the video and wondering what I'm on the air for.
while you're on the air?
Yeah.
Just tell them you're on with that real famous Irish guy, okay?
Yeah.
Or Scottish guy. Heck, the hat is started because the hair's not there.
Yeah. But no.
It's
So
fun.
I've had the TV. I've had the degree in theater. That's what I did for a while. I did shows. I toured with shows. So I did a lot of theater in my life. So
Now, was it only those two
okay, now here's
movies?
the family coming in. So
Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't go to Hobby Lobby. You guys can't go to Hobby Lobby? Oh, you already did. They're already done. So anyway, say hi to my son Christian.
Oh,
Hi
hi,
there.
Christian. How are you? You're going
And
to,
there's
okay.
and
Now,
there's
there's
Terry.
my psychic thing. Okay.
There's
Because right
there's,
here, it was
there's Terry.
asking, hi, Terry. How are you? See, my next question, and I kid you not, okay, which was right here at the top of the page, literally, we were coming to, it says, how's your lovely wife, Terry, doing? And I know that you have two grown men. I don't call them children, Alex and Christian. How is
Yeah.
the family doing?
There we go. There you can see Terry in the back. So how you
Yeah,
doing,
Terry, I
Terry?
see you.
I'm
Hi, Terry.
actually doing quite well. Thank you very much. I appreciate you asking. I'm just doing a lot of work and trying to catch up after COVID. So
Yeah.
that,
Well,
We were
we
just
haven't
talking
run
about
into you
psychics
guys
tonight. Yet.
in a long time. So, we need to all get together again soon. It's
Yeah.
been way too long. As
Yeah,
Greg was saying, the beard, no, it's actually the hair falling off the top that I think is catching on my chin.
yeah. Last time we went out was that picture when the four of us were together, and then
Yes,
the three of us were together in Fort Wayne. Yeah.
correct. Yep. So,
You want to
I
say hi,
know.
Christian?
Hi, Christian.
Hi.
How you
Hi,
doing?
Brenda. That's Steve. Oh, hi, Steve.
I'm Steve. Yep. So,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask this last question because I know you
Okay.
have family in the car and stuff. So, I know you work at the zoo. You talked about the zoo. That's your mom in the
Yep.
back that I'm seeing there. Hi,
Yeah.
mom.
Mom's back over there. Yes.
Yeah.
We're all here.
Um, we both been through some health scares and
Yep.
conditions. Okay. One of us lost a lot of weight. And for once, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about you, who has done a really good job of losing weight. As I said, just my hair fell out and went to my face. So, but 2022 and 2023, what's in store from us from Scotty Rorek?
That's a good question. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've been dealing with lately is trying to figure out where am I going next. Unfortunately, the TV shows didn't come. We lost Chris. Uh,
Can I
Chris
tell you a
Sutton.
little story about Chris?
Sure.
A really quick thing. We were in Poatstown, and you were familiar with Poatstown, and we were sitting in the teacher's lounge. Okay, there was Elvin and myself, and we're using a box called the Phasma box. I don't know if you've ever used the Phasma box at all.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Okay, well, Jen and Shauna went down to the principal's office, came through, and this is about a month after Chris passed. His voice came through and said, "Hey, Jen." And now me, okay, who's only heard him through the Zoom meetings
Yeah, Ghost.
that he was in, was like, "Was that Chris?" And she comes in from the other room with her jaw dropped. She goes, "That was Chris." I was like, "Yeah, I know. That was Chris." Still coming back through to us. I thought that was absolutely amazing.
That is amazing. He was such a dear friend. He was a shaman. Just so everybody knows, his name was Chris Sutton. He was an amazing friend. Me, myself. You actually had the picture
It
in
was
the
up there.
opening of it of Chris, myself, Rob Demarest, as we were filming pilot for a TV show. But he passed away before we got it to go or anything. So that was really tough. And so my whole thing is like, where am I going? What's going to happen? And then I just realized I'm just going to enjoy every day. I'm not going to plan for 23. I'm not going to say this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all these readings. I did that too much. And I've been trying to tell everybody, because a lot of times I get a lot of students and people at Psychics Tonight and say, what is my mission? Well, here's your mission. Enjoy today. Use your gifts the best you can. Talk with spirit all the time. But stop worrying about what's coming tomorrow and enjoy today. Because as Chris left us very quickly, you don't know if I'm going to go very quickly. So why spend all my time worrying about where I'm going instead of where I'm at and enjoying myself? That's why, now Terry's gone with my mom. They're going to their hotel, and my Christian's here with me yet, so we're going to drive with them next. But instead of worrying about all that, let's just have fun. Let's just be ourselves. Do what we want to do. And that's the biggest thing. Do what you want to do. That's if I'm looking you right in the eye right now, everybody, is do what you want to do. Stop worrying about what you have to do for others. Do what you want to do. I definitely wanted to be on Steve's show. No matter what else happened, I'm on Steve's show. You see what I'm
Great.
saying? That's the type of level that we have to look at as we're moving forward instead of like, oh, I can't do that with my mom today because no, I can get it all in. You know what I mean? I could do everything. I could do what I want. And we worry too much. Stop worrying and start enjoying.
See, now you're preaching to the choir there to me because I
Yeah,
already have the cards partially stacked against me anyway.
right.
But I still get up every day and I thank the creator, and I got to give Rick Hayes, that was part of his thing there. Okay, but still, I get up every day and say, I'm retired now. I don't need to be doing anything today. It's
Right.
like for the shows, I have certain days, okay, that 10, 15-minute jobs, okay, where I got to do the promo that's going there. Okay, then I got to do that opening thing that's on
Right.
another day. And usually I go read a book or something like that. At least this time I knew what Psychics Unite was and everything
Yeah.
else. And,
And
I also write
you
down
got to watch
questions.
Afterlife. You got to
Mhm.
watch Afterlife.
Right? Yeah. And I did on Sunday night while I was laying in bed there. Um, you don't plan anymore. I I can't. One day I'm good, one day I'm not. You go through the same thing. One day
I do.
you're okay, one day you're not. So you just have to. I know I have a friend in the room called Whipple, who I interviewed for IPF. He has IPF, a little worse than I do right
Okay.
now. And we talked many times, and he wrote here, I'm going to read this. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you. That was something he said just now on YouTube.
Oh, that's
Okay,
awesome.
yeah,
That's so right. That's 100% right.
we have to enjoy it. I do hope, but at some point we do get together again.
Oh, we
Okay,
will. There's no
yeah.
doubt in my mind. I know
I
that.
mean, I mean, it's great. We keep contact with each other through Facebook and
Yeah,
stuff like
we
that, even
talked.
text
You sent me
messages.
the craziest memes I've ever seen in my life. Just saying.
Well,
Freaking
sometimes I
love
just
those.
got to get a laugh, okay? And I don't
You
want
get
to lose my
plenty.
Facebook account, so they come that way. But tell people where they can find out more about you, um, your website and stuff.
Yeah, I guess the best place to do is come find me on Facebook. There's a couple Scotty Rorek pages. Go to the one that has the most friends. I think I'm 4950, 4960. Come to that one because that's the one I go to almost every day. The other pages I go like once a week. So, but come to that or scottyrorek.com. But that's come to Facebook. Come join me on Facebook. Probably my favorite place. I have Instagram, Scotty Rourke all over the place. And then if you see two of me, report it because I don't want two of anything other than Facebook.
Yeah, sometimes that happens, okay? It hasn't happened to me yet. I should not jinx myself here. It's happened to Jen a number of times,
See the
okay?
Ghostbusters. Everyone's talking about his phones. They're out
So,
there.
what I want you to do before, if you would, before we get off of this,
Of
I want you to
course.
light it up and come outside of the car and film it from the outside so the
Oh,
audience
okay.
can see what we're talking about.
Hang on. So, Bones, here. Start the car. Turn the lights on. Then you can hit the siren too. Okay. So here we go, guys. And the people across the way are going to see us.
I'm sure they're going to love it.
Okay. Turn the lights on so we can show everybody at home this too. There we go. All right, the lights are going. So now everybody here is going to be able to see it. See if I can go sideways with this. All right, so there's the Actomobile. So everything up here on top is going to be lit next time you see it. But let me go back to the show.
Hmm.
So there's the Actomobile.
See, folks, I wasn't kidding when
No,
I asked that first question. I mean, do you remember that restaurant that we went to? It had an empty parking lot when you and I showed up.
yeah,
We were worried about eating in there. It was just a change in shifts. But as soon as you parked that car there, that place got packed.
yeah, got packed right away. Packed. Bones, go ahead, hit the ecto siren. All right, cut.
See, folks,
So
that's
that's
now if you
that's
like me, folks, you're watching that and smiling because it brings a smile to most of even Carl was laughing there. It brings a smile to most of our faces. Carl, you have no idea how awesome that vehicle is. Okay, he's talking about how awesome it is. I mean, I even remember the picture, and I couldn't find it for some reason. I should have gone through Poachtown stuff of the car parked in front of Poachtown School.
yeah, yep, yep.
Ohio. when you stop to see him. So, Scotty, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. I want to thank you for sitting there in your parking lot. You know
No,
what?
this is fun. It's cold out here tonight in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So
Well, it's even cool here. It's getting cooler now. But thank you for joining us on the show. There's no way I was going to go far into doing this show without having you on. So,
uh,
are you ever going to go back to Scotty Speaks or Scotty Talks About?
it's just so much, but I can't say yes or no. So whatever is guided to me. So that's where I'm going.
I'm sure that was Nick up here because it says Shadow Hunters Paranormal Investigation and Events said to say hi to you too.
Yeah. Hi
So
guys.
I'm sure that was
Love you
Nick.
all.
Alrighty. Thank you for joining us today. And
Thank
remember,
you.
folks that are listening, next week we have the great Tim Malley on, and it's going to be an
But
awesome show, followed by
just
Keith.
so, just so you know, next week it's Miley, like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, exactly. What did I say?
Tim Miley, or
Oh,
it's Tim
I don't know.
Miley.
It's Tim Miley is what I thought I said, but at this
But
point
you
in the
didn't.
night now, who knows what I've been saying. But thanks for joining us, Scotty, and thanks everybody for joining us, and hope to see you next week.
Yep. Bye.